All right, man. We are live. I got my boy Ohio Runs Boxing on here with me today, man. How you doing, bro?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. What's good?
All right, brother. So I did want to touch on. Let's recap what's going on with Keith Thurman versus Mario, man. What'd you think of that fight?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I want to keep to get the knockout. I did want to keep to get the knockout, but I was still impressed with his performance. I had to go back and watch it because I went to sleep. I had to do commentary for a boxing event that we had down here in Columbus on the west side, which was dope. But yeah, when I went back and seen Keith, he beat up Mario pretty bad, man. He put a nice
Yeah.
whooping on. I don't know what more you wanted, but I did want to push for the knockout, but I still was. I think the knockout would have made it more exciting for the welterweight division,
hmm
but I was still happy because Keith can sell fights. Keith got a mouth,
Yeah.
and he got a mouth, but he can also fight. So that's the difference between him and most, like other guys. But yeah, I think he did. I think he did pretty well, man. I just want to keep as long as he stay active. I don't care. I would love to see him with Crawford, next if that fight can happen. I think me and you both I've been saying this. I know I've been saying it, but I've always felt like Keith Thurman, skill wise, was more challenging to Crawford than Earl Spence.
Style wise, yeah. I also, yeah, I agree
Yeah, when it
that
comes to styles, when it comes
style wise, yeah. Match wise, people think I'm crazy. You know what I mean? Everybody's still very big on Spence. I think Spence is an excellent fighter, great fundamentals, a great
to,
jab. He brings what he brings to the ring. But stylistically, I would say, and I believe Bomac also said this a couple years ago, that Keith Thurman stylistically is the tougher matchup for Terrence Crawford than Spence. And like I said, it's not knocking Spence, you know what I mean? But I think so too, because Keith, even versus Mario, man, coming off of a 3-year layoff, he looked
mm-hmm.
very explosive. He looked more aggressive than we've seen. He was punching like versus Pacquiao. It was a couple shots that I felt he was slapping with more so than just really turning his punches over, and that could be because of the injured hand or not. But versus Mario, he was landing power shots from round 1 to round 12.
He was trying to
Um,
get him out of there. You can tell that
he
he was trying.
he was for sure. And me personally, I wanted to see Keith get a stoppage. You know what I mean? Just knock him out, look great. But other than the knockout, at the same time, I'm glad Keith got the rounds in though, because he's coming off of a 3-year hiatus. And I personally know, Keith is not out here sparring like elite competition or top, undefeated amateurs. Or he's getting good sparring, but it's not like Keith is even sparring world class champions right now. He's getting decent work, but so to not be getting elite sparring right now and not to have no fights in 3-4 years, and
Mm-hmm.
to physically come back the way he looked, to dominate the fight. I understand Miles was the quote unquote smaller man moving up, but I've known for a while, just from what I've been told, that Mario was struggling to make 140 his last 2 fights.
No, I've been hearing
Um,
that too. I've been hearing that too.
yeah, so it's no secret. This is a very big kid. He did not look small at all versus Keith. He
Mm-mm.
actually looked like the bigger man in parts of that fight, but Keith was just shorter. So I would think physically Keith was probably a little bit bigger, but it wasn't no size difference. Mario was huge and he was durable. And I was telling people that too. My opinion when I did a review of what I think the fight would be, I said I think Keith wins by stoppage. So I did predict a knockout, but I didn't predict an early stoppage. I joked around, I'll get him in 3, but I said Mario is durable. He showed durability versus Tank. Yes, Tank is smaller, but he's a strong kid. And he showed durability. I forgot his name, but when he fought the Russian, I thought the Russian southpaw did beat him, but Mario showed durability in that fight because he took a lot of punishment and his whole eye was boom. So Mario has already shown us in his career he's not going out unless you sleep him. You got to put that kid to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I give Keith, for the when you put the layoff and perspective and everything, I still would give him like an A, a B, or A, just because he didn't get the stoppage. But I think his performance overall, he looked good, man. His defense looked good. What would you grade him?
I would probably say it around the same because I think heart with your heart, you wanted to stop it just for Keith. It was just
Mm-hmm.
a confidence thing, more than anything. But being realistically, you have to look at the whole fight and look at what he was trying to do. I appreciate him really sitting down on his punches, trying to make that statement.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like Mikey and Earl.
Mm-hmm.
Earl looked like Earl was trying to get him out towards the end, but it looked
Yeah.
like Earl wanted to prove that he can box with Mikey
Yeah.
more than anything. We knew you can box. Once you're up so many rounds, at least showed us that you're trying to, get him out of there. But Keith overall just showed he was just a better fighter. He showed us why he's one of the top welterweights in the division. He really did, man. And you know, when you have real intelligent boxing conversation with people who know boxing,
I'm gonna have my boy Agent on here too with us just now. What's up, Agent?
hey man, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys? How's it
You
going?
know, it separates from other people, man. When you really just look at the fight and break it down, you know, you're gonna have trolls, you're gonna have people talking about tank power, and you know, Keith ain't doing this and he ain't a puncher. Keith is still a puncher, but like you said, you got to look at both opponents. You got to look at his opponent too. You know, he's a durable guy, man. You're not gonna be able to get everybody out of here.
Very durable.
You're just not. You're not gonna get.
And one difference with the Keith with Mario got hurt versus Tank. It wasn't the head shots; it was the body shots.
Absolutely.
And I do feel Keith should have went to the body more. But that also when you're sucking down in weight, you know your body is not as durable the next night. I'm not trying to take nothing away from Tank. I still feel the Mario fight it was just a tune-up for Tank. For Keith. I don't his best. Keith was already proven. Keith already has a solid resume. He already has a good body of work. Right now, Keith's career is really getting back to so we can see him versus the Spence and the Crawfords. This fight is not like, oh, this is one of his best wins in his resume. I need people to understand that this was a get back. This was a tune-up. So this is not a comparison. Oh, you guys say Keith is a great win. No, it's a solid. It was a great performance and a good get back moment. But it wasn't. This is not one of Keith's like greatest wins. We have to remember that Keith is a proven top 5, top 3 welterweight. The only reason he's not top 2 is because he doesn't hold the title right now and he has kind of been inactive. That's it. But skill-wise and everything that even Spence is just now doing, Keith already did that years ago. He beat Sean Porter first. Absolutely. He beat Danny Garcia first. He unified the division first. I do feel more people should put a little bit more respect on Keith. I do want to ask Adrian before so you can just catch up. We're just going over our thoughts of what we thought with Keith versus Mario. If you're free to talk, bro. No? Okay. Okay, we're gonna.
There you go.
Can you talk or no?
Yeah, I can talk.
Oh yeah. So I just wanted to catch you up so you could throw your opinion in before we moved on. Your recap, basically on what you felt versus Keith versus Mario. What was your thoughts of that fight?
I thought the biggest takeaway for me on that fight was Keith Thurman exposed a lot of haters and eliminated any future rumors that he wasn't, in shape or wasn't looking good. For me, sure. That was the biggest takeaway from it because there was so much slander towards Keith heading into this fight that, he's definitely one of the top 5 guys in the weight class right now. Probably number 5. He's probably number 5.
I would personally right now rank Keith still top 3. Wait a minute. You're right. Top 4.
He's 5. He's got, if it's Crawford, Spence, Ugas, Boots, he's got to be 5.
I can't put Boots.
Oh no, I'm not putting Boots in front of.
I can't put Boots in front of Keith yet, man. I can't do that.
No,
yet.
I know. I agree. I meant not like in front, but at least within the 5.
Oh, within the 5. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some people will do that with Enos, but I just don't put guys that's not proven in front of.
I said that yesterday. Yeah. I said he needs. I mentioned Danny's DSG and Boots, but apparently he's moving up. So.
And then they're both Philadelphia relatives. It seems like Danny's kind of mentioned he won't fight Boots. I think that would be a good name for him, but I don't think they'll fight. I do think he would. I think Boots would beat Danny, but Boots Boots does that, I just can't rank him over.
Ortiz won't fight him. That Greek guy, the Stanis, whatever his name is.
The Stanionis.
Yeah, he ain't fighting him. Butiev, Connor Benn's not going to fight him.
I've already heard. I don't know if y'all heard, but I've got word from a source close to what's his name, Clayton, Castillo Clayton. Mm-hmm. That fight.
Give me 1 second.
It's done.
Which fight?
Boots and Clayton.
Which one is Clayton, bro? I'm sorry, bro.
He's the one that fought Lepinev, and he beat Lepinev, but they called it a draw. He's from out of Canada.
Oh, okay.
He's from out of Canada. He's undefeated, 18-0. I think 13 KOs. He's pretty good. I think, but Enos is definitely gonna be the favorite. But I think this is a great fight for him.
You think so?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm gonna miss that fight. Is that the fight that they?
Huh?
Is that the fight that a lot of people were saying Lipness lost, but they gave it a draw or something?
Yep.
Okay, I did miss that one. I do remember the controversy afterwards, but I didn't actually watch that fight.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Okay,
Yeah, his
no,
he got a real close friend to me that be showing me text messages, their conversations and different things like that, and he actually hit me up with some info. Saying
I know Boots' next fight is supposed to put him into the mandatory position for the IBF.
and that's what Castillo is fighting. Clayton is fighting for the mandatory. They're both fighting for mandatory.
Okay, so the winner of that will be mandatory for Earl Spence or
Yeah.
Ugas, which that's another topic we should touch on. That's good. Y'all want to touch on anything else with the Keith situation? What you want to see Keith do next? Realistically, well, what would you think Keith should do next? Realistically,
the realistically
mm-hmm.
makes business sense. Keith and Earl.
You know how I feel
mean,
about that. I want Bud, man. Where's Bud at?
That's what I'm saying. It's like he better sign and show him that he willing to work across the street with them. That's what he better do.
So
because
that's a question I was going to ask you because we did kind of talk about this yesterday. So do you feel Bud will sign with PBC? And do you feel the two-part question? Do you feel he'll sign with PBC? And do you feel they will work with Bud on a one-fight deal? Or do you think he has to sign with PBC to get the fights? What do you think?
Yeah. He's definitely gonna have to sign to get the fights with PBC. I think the only thing it's gonna come down to is with money. And now I've been saying this before. Adrian Broner mentioned this, and I don't know if I told you this, but I said this. I've been telling this in the chats to a lot of people. What PBC model was the last couple pay-per-views is they're trying to get they stop overpaying their fighters, and they're using this pay-per-view to show these fighters what their worth really is.
Hey, can I ask you guys a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Is Spence versus Ugas on pay-per-view?
Yes.
Yeah.
You sure?
Of course.
You confirmed it? Because
Yeah.
I didn't see it in the ad. I didn't see it in the flyer. I didn't see it in the ad. So I think
it's pay-per-view, bro.
narrative,
PBC's not doing no major events without pay-per-view from here on out.
They still gonna have some, and I'm gonna tap into what I was about to say and tap into all of it.
Okay, go ahead.
But I was telling people, a lot of people were saying they didn't understand the pay-per-view model. Why is Al putting these guys in pay-per-view? And I said he's pretty much negotiating with the fighters. I've paid you, I've overpaid you over the years. Now you're going to show me your worth. Now you're going to show me how much I should be paying you. So that's why these pay-per-views are being put. So these guys, their next fight, they're not going to be getting these big minimals, guarantees. And Broner spoke as a fighter, was talking about that. He didn't like the fact that these guys' pay rates is changing. He's in a different category because they're still putting butts in seats. Even though Broner was losing, he's still bringing entertainment and value to Showtime and PBC. So he was speaking from his experience, but also he wasn't looking from the other perspective from fighters who's not putting butts in seats, who's not getting the viewership. So they're going to cut back and start giving the money to the fighters who they think deserve it, like the Tanks and other people, Earl Spence, and they're going to give the other guys decent pays, but there won't be outrageous no more. And I think that's what it is balancing them out, showing them their worth, showing them that he's been taking care of them for a lot of years and really wasn't getting that much money in return. So it's a business at the end of the day. When Broner also said something about a fight that's coming up that's not pay-per-view from PBC, and he said one of his brothers in that video, he said one of his brothers, I knew who he was talking about, but he got $1 million in his last fight. In this fight, he's only getting $700K. And he was upset about that. And this fight is not going to be pay-per-view. So that ain't got nothing to do with pay-per-view. So
is that because someone said that was he was talking about Robert Easter, but or was he talking about Rashid?
I'm saying I know who he was talking about. It could have been Rashid, but I think it was Easter. But he just said his brother. I know it wasn't Tank, but it was out of those two.
Okay.
It was out of those two. You know what I mean? It was out of those two. But he was pissed off about it. But again, he's speaking from a fighter perspective, from a promoter standpoint. Floyd has said this before too. Al was paying these guys too much money. He wasn't speaking from a fighter perspective. He was speaking from a promoter standpoint. You get me? Floyd is a
Mm-hmm.
fighter. So he's not going to just talk down. He's just speaking from a business standpoint. So I get it. I understand it. But
I
that's where
under hold on. I understand what I was doing in that sense when you say that stuff because these guys, I feel Al messed up in my opinion though because you overpaid them for so long, and you got them. They are these guys that are just superstars, but they're not because you've been
mm-hmm.
paying them $2, $3, $4, $5 million a fight, even though they don't sell. So now you get what I'm saying? Like it's to me now you're kind of hurting the fans because you're kind of like it's not punishing your fighters in a sense, but in a sense you're like, hey, you guys got to earn your money now more. So, but now the fans are like, dude, why am I paying $60 to see Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin?
But that's my thing.
You see what I'm saying, bro? Like that should have been free.
But it's balanced. That's my thing when it comes to Al being a good businessman when it comes to that aspect, because it's to me it's smart. Because if they're not going to pay pay-per-view to watch Ortiz and Charles Martin, then why am I paying you guys 1.5 million? Why am I paying you 2.5? This is the negotiation that he's going to sit at the table with the fighters for them to see it. Before I take this money away from you, I want you to see why I'm taking this pay cut. You get what I'm saying?
I get what I was doing. I just feel it's kind of like it's kind of like it's too late in a sense. Like
I think it played a part because of the COVID and in the last 2 years. So it's just he's a great counterpuncher when it comes to.
I feel when Al got that big investment money a couple years ago, and remember, I feel as good as a businessman as he is, I feel in a sense he kind of fucked off a lot of that money at first, in a sense, by paying those big paydays because the fighters were not bringing in a return. They weren't selling. You know what I mean? And so I understand Al, but you gotta, the fans, the fans' perspective.
But you gotta take another thing. You gotta look at it too, is that he was still getting more fighters because his reputation. When you paying these guys like that, everybody is gonna want to come over and join the party. It's just like a job. McDonald's paying $25 an hour. Everybody from Taco Bell gonna leave. They're gonna want to come over there. You see what I'm saying? Broner said something in that video too, because he talked about the boxing probably about 3 minutes, and I actually kept at the clip. But he said that DAZN offered him some money from the Conor brand. He said it was more like a disrespectful type of offer. He said, I wouldn't fight for that. He said Showtime and them is giving me great money over here. But then right. And then he went to say that Al is, PBC or whatever, is cutting money, and why fight for this and fight tough competition for this type of money when you can go across the street? He said, I can go across the street and get 5 million, 10 million. Wait a minute. So you just said you can go across the street and get 5 million, 10 million. If DAZN wasn't a good offer, you're not going to get it from Top Rank. You're not going to get it from Golden Boy. Or are you just talking? Where are you talking about you're going to get this guaranteed 5 million? So Broner is definitely, I think, speaking off emotions a little bit too, because if he's not getting 5 or 10 million with PVC, he's but who's going to pay him that type of money when he's still losing? It's not like he's winning.
Yeah.
The name, but he's not. He's going to be in the situation I feel Crawford is, but Crawford is winning. That's why when it comes to this Crawford situation, I think Crawford has to be realistic when it comes to how much he's trying to get for the fight against Earl Spence or Keith Thurman, because we got to remember Keith and Danny fought. They was like 2.5.
Yeah.
They didn't. It wasn't. The money wasn't that big. The fight wasn't that big like we think.
But that wasn't a pay-per-view though.
No, it wasn't. But that's my thing is how
much. You guys remember when AB was offered 40 million for like 5 fights?
Yes.
Yeah, I mentioned that the other day. No one remembered. I'm like, yeah, remember he turned down that big contract just to stay with PBC?
But you got to think about it. A lot of those companies, just like Julius just said, they all come in the game, they throw the money, and some of them don't even have a clue what they're doing. They're just trying to get the fighters. DAZN did the same thing. They had to go back and renegotiate Canelo's contract because they felt if they give you this much money, they can tell you who to fight. That's not how it worked. The fighters was like, no, I'm fighting him I'm fighting him. And that situation with De La Hoya, De La Hoya told DAZN that they promised DAZN that they would fight Triple G, and Canelo did not like that because Canelo wanted to move like Floyd Mayweather. You don't tell Floyd
Yeah,
Mayweather.
I don't. I personally don't see PBC lasting another 2-3 years. To be honest with you, them and I mean, Top Rank did just sign a bunch of new guys,
Mhm.
but they're not making any money. So like, I only see Matchroom and yeah, basically I just see Matchroom and Top Rank maybe definitely sticking around for another couple years.
Mhm.
So
I think I don't know. I think PBC fight's still going to be around. It's just the business model is changing. Some of them fighters is gonna go across the street. Bob Arum is a great businessman too. Do he mess up certain deals? Absolutely. But he also did the same thing with Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo thought he was more than what he was worth, and he went to Thriller and got a $6 million guarantee for that fight, and which they overpaid. And what happened? They eventually postponed a couple times, and they dropped that fight. And then the second highest bidder was DAZN that only paid 2.3. So they knew that fight wasn't as big. If that was the second highest first bid, it's only 2.3. How Thriller go 4 million more? It's ridiculous. So,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they Triller had to because they were looking for a big fight,
my
so
point,
they
but
overpaid.
they didn't know that he wasn't as big as they thought. The belts and him beating Lomo will probably get some attraction, and that just didn't
Yeah, I
happen.
mean, you have to understand the zone just spent 800 million on BT Sports. They just bought him out.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't think anyone, as far as promotion wise, comes close to that kind of money. I mean, those Russians over there. I mean, they print money. So
Is that who runs the zone?
yeah, it's just a bunch of Russians.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
At the end of the day, it's gonna have to you're gonna have to get these guys to wanting to fight each other too.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day. There shouldn't be no excuse where you got on either side, PBC, Top Rank, you name it. You shouldn't have Demetrius, Triple G, Canelo all on the zone, and these guys are not fighting each other. It shouldn't be that. That shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen.
I'm glad you brought up Boo Boo because I guess I was gonna ask you that. What do you feel about so first I'll say before I answer the question, I agree. The fighters have to want to fight each other to make the fights. I don't feel some of these big fights that both parties want to fight each other. I feel it's been a lot one-sided, in my opinion. We can get into this after I ask this question. I don't feel Spence 100% wants to just fight Terrence Crawford. I feel Crawford does. I feel if they both 100% want to fight each other, they would have came up with a deal already. But Boo Boo, I want to ask you, how do you feel about the move he just made to go ahead and I don't think he's officially vacated, but I know he's officially made the statement that he's going to. So he's going to vacate and move when he has a very tough mandatory at 160 and probably would be the best fight he's had since Vanes Monterosa. I mean, Boo Boo hasn't really fought nobody. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about Boo Boo's move right now?
So, but what is he? I didn't even hear. I heard a little glimpse of it, but is he vacating the fight?
So
Fight? What is he doing?
no, so he's going to vacate the middleweight title, middleweight WBO. He's
Mm-hmm.
going to move up to 668, and he's going to fight an interim title for the WBO interim belt against I don't know who the guy is, some random name. So no, it's not a bigger fight. And then the fans are he's just trying to place himself to be Canelo's mandatory, but I'm kind of tired of that thing because Canelo, you've been Canelo's mandatory before. You guys have been in the same division 2 times. I mean, when do we stop giving Boo Boo a pass to chase Canelo and not have to fight nobody else? I do know he tried to fight Charlo, but when does it stop? Like, hey, Boo Boo, you got to stop chasing. Because Crawford fought Sean Porter. Crawford, you know what I mean? So it's like, Crawford's not fighting. He did fight other people while he's chasing Spence. Boo Boo hasn't fought nobody since, I guess, was it Willie Nelson? Vanes Monterosa, but these are not even truly elite names.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah,
Respectable guys.
Respectable, but not the top echelon. You know what I mean?
Right.
Vanes at the time, I do think Vanes was underrated at 54 at the time, though.
Yeah. I think I still like those wins. I'm definitely gonna like Willie Nelson. I'm gonna like that one. But
yeah,
I think he should have took that Jamal fight Jamel. I think it was Jamel at the time. If I correct me if I'm
Back
wrong.
in 2015.
Yes, he cut that out. He didn't want to take the fight, and whatever the reason was, it was more money or Rock Nations, I believe, took a part of that where they, didn't want him to take it. Whatever the reason was, he went after money at that time instead of legacy.
Yeah.
Now that he got his money, he's talking legacy, and a lot of fighters need to pay attention to that because you might not get these opportunities if you can't build yourself into being a star or the guy that people want to fight. Then you have to be careful how you move. And I think it's unfortunate that he's in this situation where he's about to vacate a belt to go up to 168 and fight for this belt, but no one is really looking to fight him. And I would love for him to fight. I think he's deserved. I can't sit there and say Demetrius don't deserve a fight with these top guys because he's one of them, man. Like, come on, that's crazy. But business wise, he's made some of the craziest business decisions.
Some terrible decisions, and that's what I was having a debate with another friend, and as I was trying to explain, people continue to bring up that was a long time ago, but it still happened. He turned down the Charlo fight because from what I read, Charlo was the contender, Boo Boo was the champion, and they were going to pay. I think Charlo's side was going to give him a little bit more money than what Boo Boo was going to make. So Boo Boo was more so, oh, you're making more than me, then I'm not going to fight you. Well, you shouldn't have done that. You should have went there. You probably would have beat Charlo, in my opinion. You should have took that opportunity. Then the opportunity comes to fight Shevchenko. You turn that down. There was also another opportunity to fight Matt Korobov. You turn that down. Boo Boo, I just feel in a situation that's kind of put himself in a hole that we cannot, and just in my opinion, we cannot just keep giving him a pass because in my opinion, the mandatory, the Ukraine kid, he's a grown man, but dude's a beast. And I think a lot of people, this was the first time a lot of people were like, "Oh, this actually might be a good fight." When the news broke that this was his mandatory and it was the WBO ordered it, a lot of people are actually like, "This is going to be a good fight." This dude is a big southpaw. He can punch. He's aggressive. He's skilled. He was an Olympian. You know how these Ukrainians and Russians get fast tracked. He's one of these guys. So it's like a lot of people actually were already, just when it was ordered, started actually showing interest in a Demetrius Andrade fight. Nobody has showed any interest in a Demetrius Andrade fight. And that's just being honest. I do think Boo Boo is elite. I do think he's a good fighter. But his last couple performances have not looked too good. And I feel this would have been a good fight because it actually brought some fans like, hey, this Russian dude's a beast. Like, I want to see this matchup. And then now you vacate.
I get what you're saying. I think, but this is my point on that. And I'm gonna double back what you said about him, missing out on certain fights. You forgot Laura.
Laura.
Turned Laura down, and he actually said, "Who wants to see Laura?" And he tried to downplay the same way Canelo played him about him being a boring fighter. He tried to say that about Laura, and it backfired on him. Look how Canelo think of you. But now that I think about it, when you're talking about this Russian, it might be a high risk, low reward situation because I didn't even know who he's fighting. But if he's good, like you say he is, and in his Olympic background, he's got a great amateur background, then I can see him dropping the belt, not taking the risk while he's in this position. That's a big risk for a guy that a lot of people, the casuals, don't know. The hardcores want to appreciate that type of fight, but it's about trying to get these casuals. You don't want to get in a position where you lose that type of situation because I can't find myself contradicting myself. I said the same thing with Teofimo. He should have dropped the belt when he was mandated to fight Camboso. I didn't think Camboso was deserving to fight Lopez after he just came off beating Lomachenko. So sometimes you have to take those type of risks where you have to drop the belts. Danny Garcia did it, and Peter Quillen did it. Sometimes they drop those belts for bigger opportunities, and they both went on to make really great money. So I see what you're saying. It's a fight that look like it's more threatening. It's almost a 50-50 type of fight. But business, I don't think it makes sense. It's worth the risk. You get what I'm saying?
This the thing. But the thing is, he's not okay. If he was going up and he got the Canelo opportunity, of course. You know what I mean? If he was going up and David Benavidez was next, of course. You're fighting essentially, with all due respect to the opponent, it's another kind of what you've been fighting. So it's not for a bigger opportunity, in a sense. And we're gonna, maybe he's gonna be Canelo's mandatory. Canelo has shown in the past, if he's already told you he's not going to fight you. So whether we want to, Canelo's ducking him, that's whatever. But Canelo, in a sense, I do feel Canelo has avoided him. But Canelo also has took other big fights. So it's kind of like, how long can we continue to push that narrative? Because say Canelo vacates, he's ducking Boo Boo, but who is Boo Boo going to fight? Like, you have to fight somebody.
And
that's my thing.
I'm with you, and I always said that. Even with the Jamal Benavidez, we had this conversation. I actually like the fact that David Diaz actually pushing, trying to make the fight. It's more his manager than anything. But can these guys make big fights without mentioning Canelo's name? And that's one of the best questions to ask. And I don't know if Demetrius can make that. And my thing is, I actually see why he's moving it. Now, what you just said is, why move up? You're fighting the same type of fight. But I just think it's a bigger risk. They might see something in this Russian where they be like, look, this is probably a big risk. If he beat him, no one's really going to care as much. The hardcores like me and you might feel like, this was a great win, but it doesn't do nothing for him. It's almost like Broner being in a situation with Conor Benn. Conor Benn is coming up. He called out Broner, but what does that do for Broner? You see what I'm saying? It does really nothing for him if no belt is really on the line. You see what I'm saying?
So in a sense, though, Boo Boo is ducking the higher risk fight.
Yeah, in a way you can say that.
You're avoiding. That's all I'm saying. In the Conor Benn and Broner situation, I don't really pay that too much attention because that's why, in my opinion, I don't really like. Conor's a beast. You know what I mean? He's a very aggressive. He could be the next like Sean Porter in the division. The guy who's gonna bring a tough fight, be rough, rugged. I don't think he beats those top guys, but he can make them interesting fights. But I don't really give too much stock in the Conor Benn business right now because he is chasing an inactive Broner who's coming off of a controversial win over a lower ranked opponent. I just feel like Broner's career, I think think Broner can rejuvenate his career? Yes. I think it's going to take a lot of work, though, and a lot of tune-ups. Broner is not where Broner was even popularity-wise a couple years ago. Chasing Broner, to me, right now, at his lowest point in his career, is very weak. It's very weak, and it doesn't really gain no respect for me because we all can agree Broner is not a top welterweight right now. I think we would all agree that Broner should probably go down to 40. I just think Conor Benn is chasing the name, but does Broner's name at welterweight still even hold the same weight?
Well, Broner still thinks so. If he's talking about 5 to 10 million guaranteed.
Of course, it's Adrian Broner. He's going to feel that way, right? But we know the truth. And I think if Broner was 100% in shape, 100% healthy, 100% everything, he could probably beat a Conor Benn. He does have the skills and the attribute to outbox Conor. It's a tough task because Conor is very aggressive. He throws a lot of punches. But I just feel like maybe if Broner was active and he just had a fight and Conor was chasing him, maybe. But Broner's been inactive, bro. And I follow Broner on Instagram and stuff. I mean, he's not boxing. He's not in boxing right now. So when you're chasing Broner, it's just, to me, it's a weak move.
I think that's obvious. It's just about the name. It's just really
but Virgil Ortiz isn't I want Broner. Boots is not I want Broner. These welterweights are going after the dogs. Like that's just why I'm not putting too much stock in the Conor Benn business as of right now. He is a fun, exciting fighter, but yes, stop the Broner stuff.
I think he got more realistic chance to fight a Montana Love coming up to 147 than anybody else, because that's on the matchroom side. So
you like that fight?
I mean, it's more for hardcore. It's not even a casual type standpoint. I think hardcore if he move up, but Montana's hopefully trying to stay at this 140. Man, he haven't been making weight, man. So
how much did he miss? How much did he miss the last fight? Was it a couple pounds or ounces?
Yeah, that ain't even the thing. How many times he missed the last 3 or 4 fights?
Oh, okay. I guess I haven't been paying attention to all his weigh-ins.
No, it ain't even that. I'm gonna tell you something that goes on. There are certain things, and this is just in boxing, period. And it's not exposing certain fighters from my neck of the woods. It's just been happening all over. We just had an event. I'll tell you right now, we just had an event in Ohio where a guy weighed 4 to 5 pounds over. And the guy said that the weight, and listen, they said his weight was lower than what it really was. Like he still missed it, but they made it look like it was a lot closer than what it really was. I put it like that.
Ah, I got you.
That's the game. You know, they do that a lot, even on the biggest stages, man. They do that. So that's why I said what I said. Like, yeah.
Mm.
So it's like that's my thing when it comes to Tanner. It's gonna be the scale.
Okay.
It's gonna be the scale. That's his biggest challenge, man. It's the scale.
I know
That's
for sure. I know for sure he didn't look good at his last weigh-ins. I did see those. He looked very dry, drained. He had an amazing performance. Uh, he got the knockout, right? That's I'm thinking about the Ivan fight. No, he fought since
no.
then,
He fought another Mexican. He came
and
out with the
he
dog. He came out
and
with the dog, and
okay, yeah, and he pretty much beat the hell out of him too.
yeah, pretty
So I
much.
mean, Montana's performances have been looking great.
Absolutely.
Because I remember going into the Ivan fight, me and you did talk, and we both were like, "Yo, this is a dangerous fight." Like, you know what I mean? And Montana went in there and he showed us and he showed the world, like, "Hey, I'm
He
here."
did, and not even that, because not even just that. It was more of like we respected Ivan Berlicek because we hardcore, man. We've been in that
Yeah,
sport, you know what I mean? And Montana, we've seen him like on the
hit or
mid,
miss.
hit or miss. He's playing a lot, and we were just like, this ain't a game. But he stepped up, and to top that off, he had guys that was close to him calling, like, doubting it. So
Mm,
yeah, they were hitting me up like, man, what you think? And I'm like, what you mean?
yeah.
You walking on the side of them every day. Facts. Like, I can't
Facts.
make this up, bro. So it was crazy, but that was a great performance, and I'm glad about Jake Paul putting him in that position. Jake doing a lot of great things in boxing. I was the laughing stock when I was supporting Jake, with the Ohio guy, and now he's doing what he's doing, man. It's great for what Jake's doing.
That the Jake Paul situation, I can't lie, he is doing great things in boxing right now, and he's doing a great with even the MMA. With just when it comes to the fighter pay, I have my own opinion on the fighter pay. I don't think they're as underpaid as they think. I think there's a misconception with how much boxers make. I think you got to stop comparing because one thing you'll see on Facebook, they'll take a meme, Canelo's payday versus, and then they'll take another MMA guy. You can't do that. You can also be like in MMA, these guys have 15 losses and they're still making $2 million. You can't
Right.
you can't show me a boxer with 15 losses making $2 million. I can show you a boxer with 15 losses struggling to make a $10,000 payday. So
Facts.
there is a big misconception in the pay because people swear like, oh, boxers just make so much more. No, that's not what it is. There's MMA fighters. It's a pay scale. The lower end guys make this, the higher end guys make that. There's lower MMA guys right now making $100,000 with 5 losses. I know personally making $100,000 with 5, 6 losses. They're not elite names yet, but they're still leaving with a win with 100,000. Obviously, what they break down after that is their business, but their payday, the UFC paid them 100,000. It's not too many lower end boxers, not too many at all, making $100,000. So that whole pay thing is very misconception. But I do like that Jake is even. I want fighters to get paid as much as they can. So I like what Jake's doing. He is bringing a little bit more attention. So hopefully they do get paid a little bit more. He's doing great things for women's boxing. He is the reason that Katie Taylor and Amanda is finally happening, which is kind of sad in the sense that you got these boxing promoters. You couldn't put two of the best women in the ring. A YouTuber who had a couple showcase fights is coming over here, and he's in a sense like I get it, they're working with him, but Eddie Hearn is kissing up to Jake Paul. Eddie Hearn is probably the best promoter in boxing today. That's insane, bro. It's
And I told somebody too to tap, to what you just said. I told somebody, I said, I believe Jake actually paying for both purses,
I
because
think so. I think so.
I said, because Eddie was hesitant to play, make this fight, and he didn't think it was worth what it was. Jake do.
Yeah.
Jake think it is worth what they've been hesitant to pay the women fighters what they think they deserve. And Clarissa went through this. You know what I mean? Clarissa went through this. She made some decent paydays on Showtime, but you don't go to MMA if you're making great money in boxing.
Exactly. That's what I've been trying to tell them.
You don't cross over. You just
You don't.
You just don't. So,
Yeah.
but my point is, I think Jake, and I think she's coming along and realizing, take your personal feelings to the side. I kept telling people this. She need to take her personal feelings to the side, how she feel about Jake, and be like, hey, let's just do business. Pride comes before destruction. Put that stuff away. This dude is actually making moves, and I think she's starting to be aware that she will be ringside for that, for that big event for women's boxing. And that's huge. That's really huge. UFC was doing it for their women. We haven't had
Yeah.
anybody really get behind just a few of our girls.
Yeah.
We got some talent. I love me some Amanda Serrano. Boy, I got a big crush on that woman.
Yeah, relax, dog. That's me. Nah, but no, women. That's what I was just telling earlier. I had a conversation with a couple guys that got a boxing group chat, and they're talking about women's boxing isn't entertaining, which I don't know that because most women they're so hell bent on we got to go out here and prove something. Usually, women's fights are more entertaining than some guy fights because they go out there and they trade leather. It's not a lot of knockouts all the time, but they're sitting there banging. We got some very skilled. I don't want to butcher her name, but it's Michaela Meyer. Super skilled boxing, man. Coalition Shields is not a puncher, but super skilled. Great hand speed, a great freaking jab. You got Amanda.
Alicia Bogartner out
Ooh.
of Ohio. Yeah, Fremont, Ohio. Yeah, she just got a knockout. I mean,
and she's amazing.
And it's not even that. It's just they're not only just great fighters. They are very sexy looking women that we got in this era with these boxers.
They could literally market them. It's easy.
Absolutely.
I think in boxing, you got like promoters like Bob, who's 90, who is still stuck in the 1800s or something. They don't really want they sign them, but they don't push them, and it's weird because then I feel Bob and all these guys, Al Heyman, whoever the promoters, allegedly, whatever stuff. You guys look at the UFC. The UFC took a gamble. They did have a superstar, Rousey, but they built Rousey, and then they built Amanda Nunes, and then they have Cyborg, and women's MMA is making millions of dollars. There's those. Amanda's rich. Amanda Nunes is loaded. She doesn't have to fight another day in her life. You know what I'm saying? There's not too many women's boxers. I don't think any actually. You know what I mean? That can say I'm a millionaire and never have to throw a punch again if I don't want to. I don't think Anna Wolf is a set. I think obviously you had Layla Ali, but Layla came into money. You know what I mean? So I don't really want to use her as an example. But for how let's say Anna Wolf. That's a legend. Probably, in my opinion, one of the best women's boxers, a puncher, mean ever. And I don't think she ever got $1 million payday. So, these promoters got to get out that old age because it's a lot of money you can make with these women, and they're entertaining. You know what I'm saying?
And for them to think and that's another thing, they don't think women can headline and actually get a good show, man. I think they're gonna put a good undercard on that, and I think that in New York. I might try.
They sold out already, I think, right or no?
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know they sold out.
Well, I read they made history by having one of the second biggest pre-sales in Madison Square Garden or something. I read. I'd have to check the details on that, but I heard they broke already records.
Wow.
So you got it, bro. Jake Paul, like I said, bro. I don't think Jake Paul is a world-class fighter, right? I'm not getting on that bandwagon, but this dude has an influence. And a lot of these older heads and these fans and stuff, they have to understand that we're in a different era right now. We're in the era of social media. We're in the era of what me and you are sitting up here doing right now and talking on a YouTube live stream. This is the era of social media platforms. And Jake Paul obviously is a huge social media influencer, YouTuber. Look what you take his following and he brings it to boxing. And that's why, look what he's doing. That's why with Ryan Garcia, a lot of people don't, he has a big following, but it's not translated to boxing. Yes, it is, and yes, it's going to. The kid just has to stay active, and the kid just has to keep winning, and he got a freaking superstar because of his social media presence. Social media is very big right now, and that's what a lot of fighters have to understand is promote yourself on social media. Create these YouTube. Tevin Farmer is doing great. He made a YouTube channel, and you know what I mean? Like, you have to promote yourself on social media. Montana Love does it. They create names on social media. Because people don't understand now when you go to a promoter or a network, you say, hey, I got 1 million followers on Instagram. I got 500 on Twitter. I got a big following. You can't just underpay me because I'm going to bring something. And then they might be like, well, you got to show us. They might do a one-fight deal and see what you do with these following. And then you were right. We got it. You know what I mean? People are not understanding that your following on the internet now actually translates to money. So Jake Paul is huge, man. I hate to admit it, man. This kid is doing amazing things.
I think I told you. I think I posted it on my wall too, and I believe I told you because I talked to you. Jake commented on my post, and I instantly got 1,000 followers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Just him saying he bleed Ohio. It was crazy. It was crazy that that influence of him just touching the page,
Yeah.
and people were just going crazy. It was just like, what in the world? You know what I mean? So yeah, he's definitely doing a lot, man. And like I said, I like it. I don't take him serious. He's getting better as a boxer, but I don't
Yeah.
take him that serious as a boxer. I think it's more uh entertainment, creating villains. People hate him. That's great for the sport. You know, if you want to see him get knocked out, that's good. That means you're gonna tune in, because when you hear people say they want to see him against a real boxer, that means they still want to watch you.
Yeah, which is also like for what Jake has done. He had 5 fights now.
Yeah.
Okay, so and Jake, he has 0 amateur experience, right? So, which is hard to turn pro without any amateur fights. Most commissions would want you to have 5 amateur fights, USA boxing matches at least. But so Jake literally has no boxing experience. People are comparing him to world champions. Oh, he needs to fight this guy. I'm not a Jake Paul supporter in the ring. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing that. But go find your favorite fighter. Go look at his first 5 fights. And then come back to me, because Jake Paul, honestly, for a lot of most fighters, first 5 fights, unless they're these top Olympic athletes who turn pro, they fight literally guys like that have never thrown a punch before.
Absolutely.
At least Jake is, I know, yeah, Tyron Woodley is not an elite boxer, but if Tyron Woodley turned pro like the normal pros do, and he fought the type of, low level, I won't be respectful to fighters, but tomato cans in a sense, if Tyron fought these guys, Tyron would be 5-0 with 5 knockouts.
Mm-hmm.
So Tyron can fight. He is a world-class athlete. So you guys got to stop doing this. Jake Paul needs to fight Usyk or Bellew. It's like, what are you talking about? Because those guys, well, Usyk's different, but these guys are their first 5 fights, not fighting real fighters. They're literally fighting
so
guys.
They're actually giving him a compliment without even knowing it. That's how I look at it. When you want him to fight these type of guys and he's not deserving, why do you want him to fight a guy where we feel he's not even ready and deserving at that time? Yeah, it's like you obviously see something, or he didn't talk this way or put himself in a position to get the bag. I think, but I really do believe he's going to step up and fight somebody. He's eventually going to do that, but it's going to be like on his way out the door. It's probably the last 2 fights or so. But I think
Jake's presence. I mean, I keep fighting, have fun with it, but I think his presence honestly would translate better as a manager or a promoter. Mm-hmm. I think Jake can do so much wonders for a lot of fighters. Mm-hmm. And you have Eddie Hearn praising you. Jake is Jake is like the real promoter of this fight right now. Yep. You got Eddie Hearn, who is right now, if we're being unbiased, is probably the best promoter right now. Promoter, right? Al Heyman is an advisor, allegedly this, whatever, right? Allegedly, right? But promoter wise,
Eddie can be definitely up there. Yes,
Eddie is probably the best. He's willing to make the fights. He's getting the fighters paid. And you got Eddie Hearn. He sends offers. He's making stuff happen, bro. Mm-hmm. You got him praising a YouTuber. Mm-hmm. That just so if Jake never wanted to fight again, I respect it. And I would actually love for him to become a full-time. I mean, he got other stuff in his life, but if he wanted to build a team around him and start being a promoter, I think Jake would do amazing. Look what he did for Amanda. I love Amanda. Amanda's not a big name. I go to tell people about Amanda all the time. Like, who? I don't watch women's boxing. So look what he's done for a woman. He's making her a big name overnight, basically, right? Imagine what he'd do with a boxer with a decent name. Imagine if Terrence Crawford teamed up with Jake Paul. That's crazy, right? I don't think Terrence Crawford would do that. You know what I mean? But imagine, though. Imagine what he could do for some guys. Like, Jake, I respect it, bro. I need to call Jake Paul.
That's funny. It only brings a smile to my face because he's from Ohio. So that's the thing. These Ohio boys is making moves. So
yeah,
I think it's great, man. I think, like I said, it's great. He shows his respects. He pays his respects. But I actually had a question too. I threw up on my Facebook a couple of weeks ago, probably almost a month ago, and I said, what fight would sell the most? And I had Jake Paul versus Canelo. And Crawford versus Earl Spence.
Jake Paul versus Canelo immediately. The pre-sales for pay-per-view is going to be a million. The pre-sales, like, are you serious? As big as I think Crawford and Spence will be, a lot of people don't. I do think that would be a big pay-per-view. I think it takes 2 to make a big event. Because let's say Triple G versus Danny only did like 175,000 pay-per-view sales, and then Canelo versus Liam Smith did like 400. But then you put Triple G and Canelo in the ring together because that's the fight everybody wants to see. They did like 1.2. So yes, Spence doesn't do great pay-per-view numbers himself, and Crawford doesn't do great numbers himself. Spence might do a little bit better, but you also have to look at Spence's pay-per-view partners have been a little bit better. So if you put them together, they're going to do good pay-per-views. I don't even know, though, as good as I think they can do together, because, now this era of pay-per-view numbers, 400,000 is great. But really, back in the day, we would have laughed if Floyd did 400,000 pay-per-view numbers, right? Mm-hmm. So as big as that fight is going to be, I don't even know if they hit 1 million. Honestly, I think it might get touched close to 1 million if they promote the hell. They're going to have to put so much money into the promotion, though, Mm-hmm. But Jake Paul and Canelo can literally just announce we're fighting, and that's still take my money. I'm not buying it, but people, you know what I mean? The casuals, the people, hardcores too. I'm not watching that, bro. They're going to buy it. I'm going to want to see Canelo beat him up. They're gonna watch it, bro. So yes, like anybody that says otherwise is just biased. We got to keep it real, man. Casuals buy pay-per-views. Hardcore fans stream. And I'm gonna be real, man. There's hardcores who buy too. Right, but a lot of hardcore fans are looking for the next stream.
That's why I think it's so funny when they talk about who should get what split this money. I'm like, you ain't even helping.
You're not even buying.
You shouldn't even talk. You know what I'm saying? It's the same as you're not voting. You ain't got no what. Shut up. That's what people feel. So, but you're right. The hardcores do stream the events. A lot of them. I don't. But if I had a link, if I did want to watch. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna find the link. So but at the end of the day, I'm with you. I think it might hit 1 million. It depends, but I'm looking at 7 to 850, range there. If anything over is good, but I think that's still good. You know what I mean? For that type of fight.
I would say if I had a bet money, I think anything under 600 is a flop.
Yes.
I think they should. If promoted correctly, would hit between 600 and 800. It's hard for these boxers. These boxers are not as big as they think, bro. And it's sad, because like Errol Spence, for example, like I said, excellent fighter, no disrespect. But I think they put they're on a pedestal of like a Floyd or Canelo. And it's like, you guys are not that big. You can still, Spence can come to Orlando right now, right? And walk through the mall and probably nobody really recognize him. You might get one or two fans. Oh, that's Earl Spence. Oh, what's up, Spence? But they're not going to mob him.
Right.
If Floyd or Canelo goes somewhere, they're mobbing him. You understand me? The popularity is in a different level. You guys are not doing millions of pay-per-view. They're not Connors. You're not Floyds. They feel that, when Spence comes out with arrogant comments of Bud needs to take a 70-20, 80-30 or whatever, or 70, you know what I mean, bro? That's arrogance because you're not even that big.
Yep.
You guys are not making 50 million a fight, 100 million a fight. You guys are not superstars yet. You guys are big names for us hardcores. We love watching you guys fight, but half these people don't know you. You know what I mean? I've done Uber. I've done Uber before. Worked since living out here in Orlando. I was like, hey, man, let me try this Uber stuff for some side money. And I've always asked people, hey, man, you watch boxing? When I got people in my car, and a lot of people, I don't really watch boxing no more because ever since Floyd and Pac, that fight hurt a lot of casuals. More people don't realize that. But
that is so funny you say that because I do that up here in Ohio.
Yeah, and I asked them, okay, what about Spence? Who's that? Crawford? Who's that? They don't know, bro. You know what I mean? So they're not these superstars that they think they are. So I think 600 to 800 would be a success. I don't even think did Tyson Fury versus Wilder do 1 million? I don't.
That's a good question. I have to look on that.
I'll have to look at that. I don't think they did 1 million. I think they did like 700. So yeah, that's hard. But a Canelo versus Jake, there would be no hesitation. They're doing over 1 million. You get what I'm saying? So, but before we get off here, man, I do want to ask you like 2 more questions. I wanted to see your opinion on. Is looking like, I guess I don't know what's going on because we're seeing different tweets of one isn't signed, one is signed this. I don't know what's going on. But Shakur Stevenson, a unification fight with Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez at 130 pounds, man. What do you think is going on if that fight is going to happen? And how do you see that fight going if it does?
It's one of those, I think it's one of those situations where you just handing the belt over. I think that is one of those. I mean, you still got to make the fight. You still that's what we live to see. But I just think Oscar Valdez, I felt he'd already lost 2 or 3 fights that he got away with already. And but Shakur Stevenson is just a whole different beast, and I think they know that, especially good matchmakers that's with Top Rank. They know certain things where they be like, I don't like that style against this style. So they might be forced to make that fight eventually because of Terrence Crawford lawsuit that's going on and stuff too. That's actually going to try to shed light. So they like, look, how are we doing this? And we just put this fight together. They're going to use certain things to bring that in court. To debunk what Terrence Crawford is saying about in that situation, which I think is going to get thrown out anyway.
Yeah.
But what else? The other part of the question you had with Oscar Valdez, that's the only one you asked.
No, I said, do you think the fight will actually happen? Because they're saying it's going to happen for April 30th, but then we're seeing Shakur saying that Oscar hasn't signed, and then I think yesterday Oscar's manager said Shakur hasn't signed, and so we're getting a little drama going on right now. So that's just like, do you think it's going to happen? And if it does happen, how do you see it going? So you say it's a handover fight. So do you think Shakur stops him,
Yeah.
dominates him?
I think Shakur wins that fight easy. I think the name would be attractive because we watched Oscar Valdez and we know who he is. We recognize him, but it would be similar to a Terrence Crawford versus Danny Garcia. We know the names, but
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying? It's just
my opinion. I think it's a wash, bro. We talked about it yesterday in the podcast. Some people saying 8-4. I don't. I would be surprised if it say it goes 12 because I'm one of the few saying Shakur might stop him late. Because I just feel Oscar gets hit way too much. I feel Shakur is the bigger man. I feel Shakur is getting a lot more confident in walking guys down. He really let his hands go at parts versus Jamel. And he's showing a lot of growth. I feel if he sees openings, he's going to bully Oscar. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that Shakur is same thing with Terrence Crawford. You guys don't realize how strong they are physically. I think Shakur is going to show you, I'm stronger than this guy. I can outbox this guy and I can punish this guy. Oscar has decent punching power. He has a good left hook. You're not touching Shakur. I would be surprised if Oscar wins more than 2 rounds off of just maybe Shakur takes a round off or, Shakur just, makes some mistakes. And I think that fight's more so on Shakur to make harder for himself. I think Shakur, it can be a Floyd versus Gotti performance. I think people think I'm crazy, but I don't think so, man. Shakur is a special, special athlete, and people got to stop this pillow fist stuff, bro. He's not a pillow puncher. He's young, and he's getting more and more confident and comfortable with actually trying to stop guys. And I think he's going to go in there and make a statement versus Oscar. My opinion is he's going to go up after he beats Oscar and try to fight Lomachenko. And I think he wants to make a statement versus Oscar and go into that fight with Loma, so it's a bigger fight. We got the whole Cam stuff. I want to ask you about real quick what you think about Cam and Haney. Do you think that fight is going to happen? Do you think Cam is going to go with Lomachenko? And
I think he's another one. I think he's just trying to see who he's selling the belts to. His mindset to me is just
money.
It's a curse, man. With these guys, they get these belts and they change up, man. It's like he's trying to get the best offer. I hope him and Devin fight. That's for undisputed. But
well, hold on. Mauricio did come out and say that technically Cam is undisputed right now. And basically, Devin's belt is like an interim title, basically, or like a regular belt. I don't like what the WBC has done with the belt and all this situation, but Mauricio did come out and say Cam is technically our undisputed champion.
Well, they just had a couple. What was it? Day before yesterday, Kimbosa just said he's not undisputed, and he realized that Devin's the belt. So that just came out day before yesterday.
There's so much going on with that situation. Right. I don't know, bro.
My thing is we have to stay, put pressure on these sanctioning bodies when they clown the champion. That's who it is. You can't just take a belt off somebody and move it over here because what you're doing is you helping the guy duck another opponent. And I tell these people that's watching this, y'all gotta pay attention to that because if you reward him and call him undisputed, then he feel like he don't have to fight this guy. So we can't do that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So yeah, I'm with you. The WBC. They do these things, man, but they ain't the only sanctioning body that does it. You know what I mean? So it's the politics. But I do hope that Kambosos fight Devin, or like I said, Lomo. I still like both of them fights. It don't matter. Just get one of these fights done because I
So
know Lomo gets those belts.
yeah, I would love to see Loma get the fight personally because I don't believe the narrative of Lomachenko is scared to fight Devin Haney. I don't believe the narrative that Lomachenko is afraid to fight any fighter at 135. Lomachenko has never showed us any signs of ducking anybody. He's fought Gary Russell, his second professional fight, our third professional fight, coming off a loss. I mean, Loma will fight anybody. I don't feel these other guys will fight Lomachenko the way they proclaim in the media. So I would love to see Lomachenko get those belts so then we can really see, are you really about fighting him? Because, you know what I mean? I feel the longer that Lomachenko does not have titles, that he won't get the bigger fights. Because I don't feel guys are just at it. Because Lomachenko has looked very good his last couple of fights. I don't feel like these guys are just jumping to fight him, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think he ducked Devin. I don't think he did it, but I do believe his team advised him to do certain things. And sometimes as a fighter, they have to listen to their team. They have to listen to these guys that's been in the game longer than them, and they trust them. And sometimes now, don't get me wrong, we have guys like Canelo who don't go with the plan. Canelo's told De La Hoya, "No, I'm fighting Laura." De
Yeah.
La Hoya De La Hoya didn't want him to fight him, and he did it with Austin Trout as well because Floyd said, "If you want to fight Austin Trout, you're not fighting me." So yeah, that was their situation. And Canelo did that. So when I hear people saying Canelo duck here and there, Canelo did what most of these guys on PBC haven't do. They haven't told their boss who's helping them, "No, I'm going to fight him, and I don't care what I have to do, but that fight is getting done." If you're your own boss, like you say you will do what Canelo did. So at the end of the day, I think I forgot what I was just getting at. God darn it. I was talking what were we just talking about? Making these fights happen.
Yeah.
Making these fights happen. So it's about making these fights happen. So at the end of the day, man, it's about these guys telling their promoters, "No, I want this fight. I don't care about the risk. I don't care about this," because we gotta, as fans, support these guys that take losses. Because that's why some of them don't want to take a risk. And it's not even just the fighter, it's the promoters. If the promoters know that these guys still have a fan base and people will still support them, they will start taking more risks. They will start I still think one of the solutions is that these promoters need to have promoter meetings. They need to be around each other more. They need to sit and eat and talk and build a relationship in those type of ways, man. I think that will help.
Okay, and then I have one more question I wanted to ask, but I think I forgot, bro.
Oh no, well, I got one with Terrell Goucher is fighting on the undercard of Jamel. Did you see who he's fighting?
No, who's he fighting?
Costa Zoo.
Tim. Oh, Costa. Really?
Yeah, Terrell is fighting him on the undercard.
Ooh.
I know.
Damn.
That's a good one.
He's been looking like a monster, bro.
But you know what? I think that was good for Al Haymon to bring him up from Australia. He was putting on fights out there, and they was putting on nice purses. They was offering nice purses out there. So for Al to be able to get him on the undercard, he's pretty much setting it up for the winner out of Castano and Jamel. But I
got you.
Yeah, that's what he's doing because Kazazu is a mandatory. So he's the mandatory. So you might as well put him on the undercard to try to get him some exposure because he's going to fight one of those two guys unless they go become undisputed and drop one of those belts. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen either.
Crawford could fight Castano.
Easy.
If he win those, that's a move Crawford could make that a lot of people, ain't paying attention to, which would be interesting. That would put a dynamite in the.
No, for sure.
And that would be interesting.
All right. And the last thing I did want to touch on, because we're probably going to get that fight announced in the next couple months or weeks, is Joshua versus Usyk 2. How do you feel about the rematch? And how do you feel about Joshua told Eddie Hearn basically, like, I don't need a coach to beat Usyk. I can beat Usyk by myself, because Eddie had mentioned, hey, you haven't even started training with your new coach yet. And he said he came out, and I'll find the quote for you and text you after this, but he basically had made comments basically like, I can beat Usyk without a coach. He knows what he has to do. How do you feel about those comments, and what do you think about the rematch?
I didn't know. First of all, I didn't even know he actually Well, he did leave. He was looking for a new trainer, so he did leave his coach. But that's mentally, that's bothering me when it comes to
Yeah.
that mentally is really really bothering me. I'm losing confidence in picking him even more. And you know, because I like root for AJ, man. I don't care what nobody say. I like the Wilder. You already know I'm Team Wilder all day, but I like AJ too. He's good for the sport, but it seemed like he lost his confidence. He thought, with the Andy Rules and then that, he feels like he don't have dog. When a fighter feel like he doesn't have that and he has to go, look for it, that's not good. That's not a good mindset to have, man. And I didn't know he still didn't have a trainer. Dang, you gonna have me look this stuff up. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
double look into that. Double look into his comments he made because yeah, I did see that Eddie Hearn came out. He making it sound like Joshua was ready, he's big and bad, but those comments to a boxing appearance, that don't sound too good. You lost pretty wide versus Usyk. You had your moments, but Usyk pretty much did what he wanted. He almost stopped you in the 12th round. I picked Usyk to win the first fight. I think Usyk is a nightmare matchup for really any heavyweight. I said that when he was at cruiserweight. The thing with this era of heavyweights is they're big, 6'6", 6'7", 260, 50 pounds, all this stuff, but the scales are not the same as back in the day. The combinations is not the same in the back in the day. The work rate is not the same as back in the day. Usyk would have been more considered back in the day as a modern day old school heavyweight, even with his size, because he's not the biggest guy, but he's not small. He's 6'4", 225 pounds.
Mm.
He's elusive. He's fast. He has great footwork, great IQ. He throws combinations. He hits a lot harder than people think. That's the reason he hurt Joshua. He has a sharp left hand. His IQ is through the roof. I mean, Usyk is a. I think Usyk can beat Fury. You know what I mean? That's another discussion, but I think that's a 50-50 fight just off of the skill matchup. Everybody just keeps talking about Fury's size, and I think a lot of people don't realize Fury's had a lot of tough matchups. I think if Joshua comes in this fight thinking he can just bully Usyk's gonna fuck around and stop him in 6 rounds. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
don't do that, Joshua. You need to be smart. In my opinion, he should have took step aside, took a tune up, get with a new American coach. Like that. That was the plan. I saw him training with Ronnie Shields. I just think overall it's a bad matchup for Joshua. I've been saying that even before the Andy fight. The guys who are smaller than Joshua's going to struggle with. Everybody who Joshua struggled with was the smaller heavyweights who came up under him and getting problems, man. And he didn't look good versus Usyk. I like Joshua. You personally know that. I still think Joshua can beat a Wilder or something, I just don't like that matchup with Usyk, man. And I don't like the comments he's making. And everybody just keeps, just bully Usyk. You can't just bully an elite technician like Usyk.
No, you can't. No, you're absolutely right. Now, and that's funny you said that. But, it's the style. So it always
Yeah.
comes down to the styles. And I had this little debate the other day with somebody, and they was talking about Wilder's punching power. And their argument was that Wilder never really knocked out an elite heavyweight. So you really can't measure his power. And that's saying to me is so crazy because I had to. It made me bring up Julius Jackson. It made me bring up
Yeah.
Ernie Shavers, and I'm like, guys, punching power is punching power. Now, when it comes to skill and the total package, no, you know what I'm saying. Wilder lost to Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury had the total package, and Tyson Fury had a good chin. He can get knocked down and he get back up. It's like no one knocked
There's
Tyson
no
Fury
there's
out.
no denying. Hold on, I'm not even a Wilder fan, but there's no denying that he has God gifted power. So I
Right.
wouldn't even entertain anybody that says that. It's the same thing that people saying Keith doesn't have punching power, but Mario's face is literally rearranged right now.
Yes, that's crazy. You're right.
Yeah, it definitely has punching power. And the last thing I want to touch on, because we are hitting an hour and 10, man. I can talk to you all day, bro. I want to start getting you on here with me, bro, at least once a week or once every 2 weeks. I guess it really just depends on what we got going on, but I'd love to have you on the show like as a regular, bro. But Dylan White versus Tyson Fury. I believe that's official. I don't think there's a date yet, but I believe it's been purse bid and everything. How do you see that fight playing out? We'll end the show on that.
It's kind of hard because at first you think Tyson Fury would just box him and just box his head off. But Dillian White can do some things too, man. Dillian White is a guy that can't be overlooked. He has one of the best resumes in the heavyweight division that people just sleep on. I thought he should have got a world title shot a couple years back, and people who hate him, they just didn't see it. I didn't understand it, but Dillian has fought some of the best heavyweights, man,
Yeah.
and not get a title shot. Like I just couldn't believe it. But when it comes to him and Fury, man, it's gonna be really, really interesting. I'm actually excited for that, man.
I am too. I am too.
I am excited for that. I'm actually excited for that fight, man. I never thought I'd be excited for two UK for boxers, to be honest. Going head to head. I mean, we got Khan and Brooke. I'm not excited for that. So, but yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna edge Tyson Fury, but it's almost like a 60-40 because Dillian White can make that really rough for him because Dillian can fight on the inside.
He can fight on the inside.
He can.
And he's a big boy as well. He's not a Wilder, which I think messed up, and I don't think Wilder could do anything to beat Fury except really kind of fix. Fury's just a bad matchup. But yeah, the difference Fury can't bully White. Because I get people are very Fury's good, don't get me wrong, but people are very in the moment of what he just did to Wilder, and they're forgetting all his other fights. Klitschko, yeah, it was a tug and hold fight, but styles make fights. Fury has been in some tough fights. He's been dropped by cruiserweights. I mean, Fury is good, but he's been in some tough fights. I mean, he almost lost to Otto Wallen, and Wallen cut him really bad, and that was not from a headbutt, that was from a punch, from a straight left hand, I believe. And Otto Wallen gave him hell. So Fury has had tough fights. I don't know why people just act like nobody can touch Fury. Guys, they love Wilder, so they want to act like Fury's indestructible now because he beat my favorite fighter, so no one can give him a tough fight. and that's the mentality. Like, no, that's not how it works. Because Dillian White, let me tell you, the secret to Dillian White's success in this fight is body punching. Mm-hmm. Dillian White is probably the best heavyweight body puncher. He has a great left hook to the body. And Dillian White is a body snatcher. He has very long arms. He doesn't respect no fighter in the ring, in the heavyweight. He go in there, he going to fight you. He does have punching power. As of course, you don't have that one punch straight right hand power. But
he's a heavyweight. He's a
heavyweight. He's a big boy, and he can punch. And Tyson Fury does get hit. Tyson Fury cannot just tie and lay on Dillian White because Dillian White is strong, and he can fight on the inside. He has very good uppercuts. And Dillian White can kind of box too. I would edge Fury, but I think this is going to be a fight that a lot of people are going to be mind blown. It's going to be a fight where I'm going to sit back and say I'm not surprised at all of what's going on in here. And I would not be surprised if Dillian White made the upset in that fight or if it was a decision that everybody's like, I don't know who won this. It's going to be a very tough fight. He's not going to stop Dillian White. I'm saying that right now. It's going 12 rounds. Mm-hmm. He's not stopping Dillian White. Dillian White's, like I said everything, but it's a tough fight. I'll probably do another review right before the fight actually happens as we start seeing a little bit more insight with the training and interviews and stuff like that. Because the mental does play a factor, so we'll see if Dillian White is overly emotional. As we get closer, we can maybe make a little bit more points to that fight. But right now, just going off the last performances and just knowing them, it's going to be a very hard fight, bro. And I think a lot of people are misguided right now and thinking Tyson is just going to run over Dillian.
Yeah, it's going to be, 5 in the morning when that fight happens?
Oh, shit. Oh, wow.
6 in the morning? 4 in the afternoon. I think that's what it is. It's going to be 4 in the afternoon for us.
Oh, yeah.
That. Yeah, it's going to be like 4. Yeah, that fight will be around 4 to 5 in the afternoon. Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay, bro. Did you want to do any shout out your Instagram or anything, man?
No, that's it, man. Yeah, Marcus, y'all. It's Marcus Ohio Run Boxing, Facebook, YouTube. My IG, Ohio Run Boxing. Y'all know what it is, man.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on the show, bro.
You already know.
Peace. All right, man. Peace.